Greetings, Upstanders. Dr. O here. Just finished a powerful discussion with Ariva Martin and Sky Taylor and Marcus Lamar about the whole Shannon Sharpe. So please pay attention to Ariva Martin's special report. You're going to see a great conversation very soon about that. But I wanted to share my thoughts here about Shannon Sharpe. Look, there's so much going on. First of all, I think we have to be clear. People shouldn't be trying to jump. Anytime there's a black man who is involved in these types of controversies, people want to lump them all together. So people are saying that it's the same thing with R. Kelly. It's the same thing with Bill Cosby. It's the same thing with Michael Jackson. First of all, those three shouldn't even be put together for various reasons that I won't get into today. Or they'll say Jonathan Majors, who with Jonathan Majors was nothing sexual at all in terms of what was going on there, or Kobe Bryant. Like, people will run down the list. They don't give black men the same type of nuance that they give to white males who are involved in these types of things, right? And we can have a whole video and segment about each one of those challenges. And to be clear, you've seen me talk about some of these over the years. Don't sit here and think I'm talking about anybody. All of these guys are innocent. Please, y'all know when it comes to things like sexual violence and those types of, rape and molestation and child molestation and all of that, there's no cut card as it relates to me. And that's so, just in case you're just watching me for the first time, I want to be clear about that. Now let's get to Shannon. Wow. There's just so many things that have been involved in this that have been disgusting. And that's what I think about when I think about what Shannon Sharpe has been involved in as disgusting. Now, when Tony Busby came out with this statement announcing the settlement, we talked about it on Ariva's show. I find it interesting that he talked about them being in a consensual relationship. So why, but they're settling. Why would you put that in a statement? That's something that's questionable, but Tony Busby's actions have been questionable. And the fact of the matter is, when you look at Shannon Sharpe and his behavior got him into this. And at the end of the day, as Stephen Covey said, you can't talk your way out of a problem that you behaved your way into. And so I am wondering, when Shannon Sharpe was being interviewed, when he was interviewing, what's the sister's name? I can't believe it. Monique. And she was like, you got to find somebody to love you old and all that other type of stuff. His response was, I can't. And that's the thing that has me most concerned about where Shannon Sharpe's going to fall in the future. As Marcus Lamar was saying in his session, that you'll see, like, some people can be very forgiving of individuals. That's absolutely true. But if the behaviors don't change, then we're going to find ourselves in the same place. And I don't know if Shannon can stop his predilection for these young white girls. I just don't know. And the fact of the matter is, she's 19 years old. I have a 19-year-old daughter. If I was to hear a message where he said one of the things she recorded him saying, headline, big black guy chokes young white woman, like, what would you do as a parent finding those messages? Now, people can talk. Look, I have no idea if this was consensual. This is just how they talked and all that other type of stuff. I don't know. But when it gets out to the public like that, as she recorded and put out, what are people supposed to do with that? What are people supposed to do and feel with that? Which leads to another issue that I brought up in our conversation, our great conversation, was Disney. Disney is the parent company, right? And Disney's not going to keep anybody on its roster, I believe, no matter how much talent they have, who's on audio, talking about, I'm going to choke you, I'm going to kill you, all of these different types of things. I do believe that even with all of this, I do believe that if there were no audio recordings to stick in people's head like they're stuck in mine, I do believe he would be back on ESPN. Because at the end of the day, it's just he said, she said. But these executives, they got daughters, right? They're thinking about these things. They're seeing these things. And one of the things that, Shai talked about is, like, people can always dial you back no matter how far you go. And I believe that we are seeing some of that as well. I've seen that Shannon has also lost some sponsors. With his, Club Shay Shay stuff. I think, like, Boost Mobile was a sponsor. I've heard things about, like, DraftKings. I'm not exactly sure. So, yeah, his views are still up. But I'm also going to be interested to see if there are people who are going to avoid being a guest on his show because of what just happened. Is that going to be a problem as well, which will lead to less views? I know that there are going to be some people, a lot of black audiences are still rolling with him, but does this mean that he's not going to have an opportunity to really cross over into newer audiences as he is doing with ESPN? When the thing went down with Kobe Bryant and his allegations, one of the things that Kobe Bryant had going for him was that he was still playing. So he was still talent-wise, bringing in the numbers. And so kind of like as Marcus Lamar was saying, if you can bring in the numbers, people are going to ride with you. Shannon Sharpe's not playing anymore, and he doesn't really seem to have a lot of contrition in terms of what went on and what went down. When he went online the other day to talk about this, his only thing he was apologetic for was ruining the attention that was going to be brought towards his brother's NFL Hall of Fame induction. So I think currently Shannon Sharpe kind of has a mindset of, it happened, it's messed up, I'm going to be all right, I'm going to do my thing, and maybe he will be all right. Some of us are going to be asking, though, what could have been, losing this multi-million-dollar contract with ESPN, potential sponsors that are not going to come your way at the end of the day. Those things I think are going to be taken into consideration. Sure, down the line, somebody else, another network might pick him up. But I think he has to do some work to really look inside and see where these behaviors are getting him. When you're dating somebody who could be your granddaughter, I think that there's just certain decisions that need to be made differently. And I know that people are going to talk a lot also about every time a black man gets to the top, someone trying to bring him down. But we got to talk about the responsibilities of these individuals and their actions. And I feel like these are issues where Shannon Sharpe dropped the ball and brought attention to him that was, and I'm not going to get into how do you start an Instagram live by mistake, all of that other type of stuff, but it really doesn't matter. This is unnecessary attention that he brought to him. There are a lot of people out here in this world, in these professional worlds and in academic worlds and all types of worlds. There's people out here who are freaks, like to get their freak on. There are people out there who like to do certain things a certain way with adults and all of that and aren't breaking any laws and all of the other type of stuff, but they do their work to keep their stuff concealed and live their lives with mutually consenting people. And it just seems that whatever was going on with Shannon Sharpe, there wasn't a certain level of discipline that he brought to his physical, conditioning that was going on with this thing or with this woman, or he just didn't really care. So people can talk conspiracies and all these other types of things. At the end of the day, I feel like if Shannon was a little bit more responsible with his language, a little bit more responsible with the choices in terms of who he's dating and putting on video and all these other type of stuff, he wouldn't be in the position he is right now. Can he bounce back from this and come back stronger than ever? Of course. Could he basically fade into oblivion and people never, and just start to lose more and more and more? Of course. Nobody can predict the future. But ultimately, as I said, you can't talk your way out of a problem you behaved your way into. Let's see if he's going to change your behaviors, and let's see what happens. I hope that this is something that more people are going to be a cautionary tale for people, because there's a lot to be learned and unpacked here. What do you think? Let a brother know. Peace.